How are you today? There we are. Okay. I assume I'm live? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Get the camera set up here a little bit. I had a feeling it was down a little too far. So that's still kind of far. Okay. Let's try that again. I forgot I adjusted it for a video earlier. Isn't this a good vision right here? All right. All right. Well, that's better than that. See Deadpool's eyes poking up around the corner here. That's funny. Let's turn it this way a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that's perfect. All right. See if anybody shows up. Because apparently YouTube has, well, not been notifying people about my lives. Or they haven't clicked the bell. I haven't figured it out quite yet. But realistically, what else could be the issue, right? I'm either being censored or something's wrong with my channel. I have no idea. So that's the way it is. And last time it didn't show me if anybody was watching either. It just kind of, people started popping in. I started seeing the chat, but the numbers on the screen never went up. They did something over there after they adjusted, well, they implemented something for the shorts where it would basically, if somebody actually watched it for a certain number of seconds, then they would count it. And they're saying it's, to make sure that people are engaging in the channel because they don't want to pay anyone, obviously, any revenue if the person just skips through the video. And that's just weird because they made the shorts for the simple reason that they wanted people to be more engaged and get quicker bites of entertainment that might lure them into the channel. And for some reason, for one reason or another, it's backfiring. Something in the coding, something that they've done. So I'll get like 7,000 views on a short or something like that, and then the next day it's down to like 4.2 because they've decided to count how many seconds each individual. I mean, I get that because what's the point in paying for ad revenue on something that people aren't watching? But then again, what's the point of not paying ad revenue on something that people are watching, even if it's to a degree? I mean, I've got 1,600 some odd subscribers. So realistically, if those 1,600 people didn't see that ad on my video, and they might have, then that's a customer loss potentially. You'd think they would monetize based off of that, But it is a slippery slope. And they like to make absolutely certain that they're getting their watch hours. And like no one's showing up. Which means, again, no one's been notified. I hate it. You know? This is Pipe Tobacco YouTube. You can get your hand off the red button. Yeah, no one's going to show up probably, but that's alright. That's totally fine. I'm here just to chat, talk, which one-sided conversations are kind of hard. But anybody who's ever been in a relationship that didn't work out knows how those one-sided conversations go. They go on forever. So yeah. Basically, I'm just here to chat today. Talk to anybody who's interested in talking. Hey, how y'all doing? People notice. Yay. Don't smoke, it's bad for your lungs. Yeah, I've known that for the past 30 years. But this is more of a stopgap in a sense. I was smoking cigarettes for 30 years. And the only lull I had was during like basic training and AIT, and then the places you couldn't smoke on base. So other than that, basically this is how I sort of still get the aroma without inhaling too much. And I make sure, you know, I have the best filters and stuff like that. I don't have any real problems with my lungs. So it's not a big issue, but I know it can be. I'm not saying it can't be. I'm just saying I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. I'm trying to read the chat here. Sorry, these screens aren't getting any bigger and the texts are always getting smaller. Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, sit down, join the chat. It's not showing me how many people are in here. I don't know why. It's like ever since they implemented that change with the shorts, it's it just messed up everything. It's not even counting some people. It's like if somebody jumps in for like 5 seconds and jumps back out, they don't even count it anymore. So yeah, it's interesting because I do a lot of work on this channel, mainly based on the 3D printing side and CAD side and creation side, and just working with Arduino and other electronics, just trying to make some cool stuff. And I get a lot of comments about how it's like, dude, your channel is underrated. I don't understand why more people aren't watching this stuff. And hell, I can't figure it out either. The only thing I can figure is I'm a dude. I'm not showing a cleavage. That's the reason why. So that would be the main reason why, I would guess. And I think that, you know, sometimes when people bring up anything political, YouTube's kind of got me in this box with the people that they want to censor, or, you know, or kind of censor, you know, without actually censoring. Like, oh, our algorithm just didn't pick up on your, yeah, sorry. It's whatever. You know, it is what it is. But I'm here just to chat, hang out, talk about what you guys want to talk about. What cars do you like, you know? What's really going on out there with the people who are obviously younger than me live in the world today, you know? I'm retired Army, so I'm just kicking it at home, you know? Everyone's like, how come you don't like going out? I'm like, there's people out there. I don't want to go out. Like, and you work so hard to get a home, and then you're like, people are like, let's go out. I'm like, hell no. Do you know how much I had to pay just to get into this place? Like, that's just the way it is. You know? Getting up there in age. I am a level 49 now. As of last month, I reached level 49. But yeah. Is anyone that jumped in still here, or did they just take off? Did this little one just walk in and say, "Don't smoke, it's bad for your lungs"? Like, thanks, mom. Out of the channel. They take off, leave me here, all by myself. Gotta get that Stubby Fan logo in there. So, tell me about what's going on in the real world. Any news? Anyone from other countries that can, that are currently in some kind of conflict, that can kind of update me on what's really going on, so I don't have to get it from our screwed up narrated media. You haven't seen the news lately? Well, I'm more interested realistically in, because I have subscribers that are from different parts of the world, as most people do. But I'm curious on, like how things are really going. It's like everything's up in the air with the EU, and the United States, and you don't know what's going on in live, and you can't see what's going on in the Gaza Strip. Maybe there's some cams out there, some traffic cams or whatever you can watch live, but you never know nowadays when you're getting onto a stream if that stuff's actually live or if they're just fudging it so they can get watch hours or whatever, or people jumping in, and because I'm always curious about like the news live, like what's really going on, instead of getting it through our media, because no matter on either side, the media has always been narrated. It's always been, this is what we're going to hammer on today, and it's like, if a tornado, there's been a lot of tornadoes going through Tennessee, so it's like everyone's like, let's focus on that and make it as scary as possible, so people, it's like, news used to be different when I was younger. Taiwan, how's it going? So tell me, Taiwan, that's not your name, I apologize, but I'm calling you Taiwan, for the purpose of, people knowing who I'm referring to. So what's really going on with the chip manufacturing? Because I know everyone's up in the air about China possibly going into Taiwan. The United States would have to step up. I don't think Xi's that dumb. He might be that dumb. You got North Korea lobbing rocks at you every once in a while just for fun. And it's like, and they're splashing them down in the ocean. It's like a Kim Jong-un, like a baby throwing a temper tantrum. Lost his binky, so he has to launch a few missiles into the ocean. But I like the idea that the chip manufacturing is being pulled into the United States. But you got to keep some of your main infrastructure that we rely on intact in your country. Otherwise, what ends up happening is we pull everything over here and then we stop sending out protection in that area, even though we are going to protect our allies. We always are. But it's better that you have something that we need on your soil, especially for the economy. So you're there at it. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. Well, I mean, if you're if that factory is procuring its minerals that it needs for production from its own soil, you got to lock down over there. But if they're procuring them from somewhere else and they can get them from the United States because we have them, if we have them, everything you need, then would it be better in the factory that you're in to be, behind a golden dome, as Trump put it? And on the other side of that, are the people working there going to go, am I going to lose my job? Do I have to immigrate to the United States to do this job? And if I do that, is my homeland open to the threat of China because of this move? So you have to think of the people there and go, well, what are we taking away? Yeah, do we need to build things in the United States? Yeah, let's do it here. Let's do it with our own intellect, our own designs, our own mineral extraction and things like that here in the United States, and not pull people into the United States that may not want to leave their homeland, but also don't want to lose their job. So I get that there's two sides to that coin. So it just makes more sense to go to the worker, go to the person on the line and go, do you want to go to the United States or do you want to work here? And if a majority of them are like, it would be better for all of us if we were just in the United States because we're in fear for our safety because of China, so on and so forth, then move them. Get them here. They're doing the work. Don't leave them there and move the factory here. You already have a working infrastructure in place. Just move it. Build it here. Bring the people in. They already know what they're doing. So, I mean, that's going to save a lot of money right there. Not to mention it's going to add to the economy. But on the other side of that, like I said, there's going to be a lot of people that don't want to leave their homeland. I don't blame them for that. That's, it's your home. It's your soil. And that's why the United States is obligated to protect Japan as an ally. So if China does feel froggy, and they leap, they're going to run right into an ICBM. It's going to be daylight at 3 a.m. This can't make up its mind half the... Oh, now it's working. I don't like using the torch because it doesn't really light it as well as the open flame. It's just tobacco, by the way. So, you're at a chip factory. Do you work there on the line, or are you... Okay, so you're there on behalf of the U.S. for work, is what you're saying, I assume. Yeah, that's a sketchy line to be on. It really is, because you really don't know what China's going to do. I honestly think with Trump in office and knowing that he will just drop Moabs on anyone, that China's not going to do anything. China doesn't want a war any more than we do. They might threaten it. They're like, because everyone's got to have the bigger appendage. But when it comes down to it, he's already starved so many of his people to death and worked half of them to death. And the other half that wanted to be Christian were persecuted, jailed, or murdered. So, I mean, you don't have the fighting force to come at us. I think they lose their morale pretty quick when we came around the corner. I don't care if they outnumber us. You know? Okay. Understood. So I know you can't talk specifics, but I was always curious about if they're sourcing their minerals locally there, or if they're just if they're if they're importing them, and if they are importing them, are they importing them from China? Because then that's your bottleneck right there, because we're coming to a head on that one. So unless you have another source for minerals, which could potentially be a lot of the United States and Canada, if Canada would decide to become part of the United States instead of just being a loft apartment over a really great party, then you know they wouldn't have any issues with minerals. So I think that makes more sense to me than saying, "Oh no, we want to be our own." Most Canadians want to come to the United States. I mean, you're not losing your home. You know, you're staying like where you are in Canada. You're just part of the United States, and some policies may work for some people, and some others might not. And I mean, it's probably the same way in your country. In Canada, it might be a situation where you're happy with your per diem or whatever, but you're unhappy with your health care. And I mean, healthcare in pretty much every country is kind of it's a business. So when you have a business, curing people usually isn't the aim. It's just keeping them alive long enough to continue charging them. That kind of thinking needs to change, especially when it comes down to children with diseases that could be treated and or cured. And then you have a government that wants to make money off pharmaceutical companies, so on and so forth. I know it's kind of a sketchy subject. Well, not a lot of people want to talk about it, but yeah, and sometimes there's not cures for some of these diseases, and they need to be treated. So I get that, but why make it so expensive? That doesn't make any sense. We need to be able to have an economy that allows us to care for anyone and everyone who needs medical attention without cost to them and without a heavy burden to us, but an obligation by our administration to care for those who do need care. And I'm talking about medical care. I'm talking about lifelong diseases that people have to deal with, things like that. I am not talking about your body, your choice BS. I'm talking about actual health care to keep people healthy, and changing the infrastructure, how we eat. It surprises me the statistics that so many people would perish if the trucks stopped rolling in to the cities to bring food, because nobody knows how to hunt. Nobody's equipped to hunt or gather or find their own food. Some of us know what we're doing. Some of us have been studying it. Some of us already know what we want to do. And it wasn't just because we thought maybe the government would stop working. It was because we wanted to eat healthier. I'd rather have a tilapia straight out of the tank, filleted on the grill, and some vegetables out of the garden, than something that's been in the store on the shelf, frozen, had to come from who knows where to get here. I mean, it just seems like a healthier alternative. If you're out in the wilderness, you need to know what you're looking at. You need to know how to forage for food. You need to know how to set traps if you want to catch bigger meals. You need to know how to hunt if you have a weapon. People don't know how to do this anymore. They've taken this away from all of us with the infrastructure because it's easier to it's easier to thin the herd when the herd has no idea how to survive and only does what a programmed influenced media tells them to do over your existential crisis rectangle. Okay, so basically you need to learn how to live in the world. Learn to live in the world God gave us. That's all there is to it. Because if you don't, when it comes down to it, you're going to be the dust in the wind. Hey, Robert, what's going on? Welcome. Welcome to all of you, by the way. If I don't get any of your names right, and if you are from other parts of the world, I'm not going to try and pronounce them because I don't want to mess them up and offend anyone. I don't want to offend individually. If I offend somebody collectively, it's on purpose. Or if I offend a group, it's on purpose. Yeah, usually. Because a lot of people don't like my political viewpoints or my religious beliefs or anything like that. And it's like one of those things where you go, do you really care if that person doesn't approve of you? And I learned a long time ago to just say, you know what? You don't like what I have to say. You don't like my opinion. You don't like my beliefs. You don't like my religion. You don't like this. Guess what? I don't care. I don't care at all. And so yeah, that's why I love it when trolls come into chat if they do get a chance. Hey, big one, how's it going? We're just chatting, anything and everything. You can check out the content on my channel if you wish. If you have any questions about that specifically, then we can talk about that. But I'm just here to chat, just hang out. Yeah, I'm trying to decipher. Hold on. Is it a statement or a question? Because you did a question mark at the end before I assume that was supposed to be a smiley face. It's either that or you're the Riddler. Yeah, I don't care who likes. I mean, obviously, on the other side of that they don't care what we think. If you're Christian, like I am, they don't care what you think on the other side. And there's no rationalizing with them. Because like, there is no God, and there's like the demons down there that they're trying to conjure up for their paranormal channel. I'm like, well, it's funny you say that because even those demons you're trying to conjure up believe that there's a God. So, yeah, there's that. So much hypocrisy in just disbelief or denial of what there is out there. It's insane. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. Yeah. But a lot of the stuff, like when it comes to my channel, there's a lot of I would have expected more traffic. There's so many people have told me, you're like, you have an underrated channel. But I've also seen the same comments on other people's channels. So there's a lot of us that are underrated. And ironically, we're all doing stuff that requires science and thinking and creativity. That tells you something you need to know about society right there. The people who are actually creating cool stuff or coming up with something new are the ones who are getting less and less recognition. And one guy, I joined his channel yesterday. He was actually putting together a turbine engine, a contra rotating. And it was actually quite clever He's actually using the same powered off-road skateboard motors that I am, except I'm using the 7070. I think he used the 6374. And mine is a 22 blade high pass. That's 340 millimeters. I think his was a little bit smaller on the diameter. But the thing is, he came out with a really cool design. And you got to give somebody props for something like that. He's sitting in the garage and going, I've got skateboard bearings, I've got a steel guide rod and a 3D printer and a couple skateboard motors. Here comes a turbine engine. I mean, why aren't people like that getting recognized? Why? Because it's not a girl who's got a shit ton of makeup on. And I mean, like, everyone might like what they're seeing, but that's in the morning, that's coyote ugly. And if you ever know what that actually meant, that means you'd rather gnaw your arm off than wake her up. Okay, and they're sitting there all dressed up in tight clothing and everything like that, and they're reacting to videos you've already seen on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And now they're watching them on YouTube, reacting to it. And it's like, let's be real. You've seen like every one of these reels that you're looking at right now. You're not looking at the reels. You're looking at the girl. And then they get so many more views. But it's complete mindless just banter from the individual. There's no cohesive thought there. There's just, oh my gosh, look at that, I can't believe that happened. And they're talking in a way that I don't even understand anymore. Like, somebody came up to me and told me no cap, I would say, well, you better get one or you're going to lose all the fizz. So that's just the way it is. I mean, I don't... The world has lost its mind. I tell you. What about the mask? It does fly. The mask. That sounded like two questions. The mask doesn't fly. However, it will. I actually have... Well, let's put it over here really quick. It's right here on the table. I have this table behind me set up because what I'm doing is I'm setting up a rig for the 340 millimeter EDF. There's the blade, and it does have its shaft, giggity, and it's indexed. I'm waiting for some hardware. I'm waiting for the collet for the motor intersection, and I am currently printing the stator casing for the bearing hub. So this right here is going to be part of a heavy lift drone. It's going to be 4 engines designed the same way. I also have a smaller version, which is 170 millimeter. I've gone so far beyond like the 120s. That's what they sell. And it's just, it wasn't enough for me. This started off with me being mad over the fact that the EDFs that I wanted to get for some of my projects were not available, or they were way too expensive. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not spending $800 on each pair of JP Hobby EDFs. Not doing it. Especially when the motor that runs this is only $109. ESC, $100. Batteries, you know, you get a couple of good ones, you got a couple hundred. Filament, we'll say 100 to be safe. So basically half the price. And you get either a 170 millimeter turbine or a 340 millimeter turbine. Put on the back of a go-kart, I don't care. Whatever you want to use this kind of thing for, have fun, just be safe, because you are spinning a 22 blade high pass fan at several thousand RPMs. Completely 3D printed, correct. Yeah. Charlie Cloud. Let me catch up on the chat here. Yeah, that AI, that's freaky. I got you on that one. And yeah, this is the entire thing is 3D printed. The hub, the stator, every single thing about this, but obviously without bearings, and some of the bolts and stuff that I need to hold stuff together, is all 3D printed. So the idea is that all the stuff that I get is usually stuff that you can pull straight off of Amazon. So I wanted to give a high-powered motor to the hobbyist community, or to someone just crazy enough to try and ride this thing around, which I'm going to end up doing. I'm going to have, a quad that I make out of this. Not this particular engine. There may be a bigger one after this. But the idea is I wanted to make sure that you had something that could be 3D printed, and then you would spend a fair amount on just the motor for the most part to drive it, and most hobbyists, most people who create already have all the bolts and bearings and shafts and stuff like that laying around that they might need. But this doesn't call for very much hardware. It's usually just the bolts, the collet for the intersection of the shaft on the motor, and the electronics. The rest is 3D printed. Yeah, 3D printed. I'll tell you one thing right now. If you've ever used the TPU for the AMS for the Bamboo Studio X1 Carbon, and you could just get this filament and use it on any printer as long as you follow the printing parameters. TPU AMS, especially for a bigger prop, it's flexible, but not as flexible as standard TPU. It has some major rigidity to it because of the fact that it's designed to go through the AMS. They didn't want it clogging, so they added it as, it's like a galvanized rubber almost, but a little bit stiffer than that. And if you make a propeller out of this, I had it on a P51. I had to print a propeller, so I actually only found a Corsair propeller, but it's roughly the same because it was FMS model. So I printed that propeller out. That plane never flew right, so I wrecked it 3, 4, 5 times. And the propeller on the last flight was the only thing that survived. Tore the whole plane up. If you look at any of the old school RC ones where I'm flying the P51, you'll see that TPU propeller actually worked really, really well. And I think I might have an example of it. 3D printed props are great, but like any prop, if it hits the ground, it's gonna break. So this one I put through its paces. This one I tested out vigorously, and this is TPU. The entire body is TPU. Okay, but the bonding strength of this stuff is incredible. But it's rigid enough to be a glider. Little heavier, yeah. So I put a bigger motor on it. And then what I did is to test this propeller, I ran it up against an iron plate just for as long as I could until it started to fail. And that was after crashing the heck out of it a couple of times at the field. But this is a propeller. It still gives you the force you're looking for, because I can feel the wind on my hand right here as I'm just doing this. But it's flexible and then goes right back to where it was. So TPU for the AMS, even if you don't have a Bambu Lab printer, you can still use it. You set your parameters, you print with it, and you get some extremely rigid, extremely strong models that are still flexible. And the layer bonding on this type of TPU is unmatched to any other layer bonding I've seen on any other 3D printed filament. This stuff is, and I may have to take this before I fly this thing, because I have the wing done. And you can print single wall print wings for RC planes and things like that with that TPU easier than PLA. I'm not even kidding. I'll show you. I'll bring a wing section over. All right. So this is one of the wing sections for that glider. This is made out of TPU for the AMS, as you can see, right? Not to mention, it's single wall print. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm gonna try and see if you can see that. If it's coming through, okay? Yeah, okay, you might not be able to. Hold on, let me get to the front of my camera so I can kind of focus it. There you go. You can see that it's single wall. There's the root from where the plate was. So, but here's the cool part. It's completely flexible, totally rigid. You put a carbon fiber spar in here, 4mm for this wing, and you have a glider with, I think it's almost 1,000mm on the wingspan. That's actually might be more than that. But you have a rigid wing that could create a natural dihedral for stability. And if you use a stiffer rod, like a solid filled rod instead of just a tube, then you're going to get a stiff, rigid wing. You're also going to get organic ailerons. You see what I mean? And usually on 3D prints that are single wall, especially the lightweight PLAs and all that other stuff, you can't push your finger through this. That's what I meant about layer bonding and adhesion. It's extremely rigid, extremely rigid. And the ribbing that's in this wing to keep its shape is also very rigid at that vertical angle. So that makes this wing ideal for almost any wing application. It's a little heavier, but I don't fly slow enough. I'm not floating through the air like a feather, okay? I'm trying to get to some top speeds, have some fun, right? But that TPU designed for the AMS from Bambu Lab is awesome. They're not affiliated with me. They're not paying me to say that. That's my experience with the TPU for the AMS. Now remember, if you order this stuff from them, look at that. Can you do that with PLA? No. Your finger goes straight through the damn thing. If you order from them, make sure they have regular TPU as well. Make sure it's the TPU for the AMS. It doesn't even matter if you're using one of their printers. As long as you follow the print parameters, you'll be fine. It prints on a fairly cool plate, so you're going to want to use some kind of I use Magigoo because it's kind of like a glue stick, liquid glue stick. And that's like the best stuff in the world. They're also not paying me to say that. It's just my experience with it. So, yeah. AMS for the TPU. TPU for the AMS. You're not breaking it. You just... So it's going to handle crashes. It's going to handle mistakes, which I make many of when I'm trying to fly. And you're going to also have a cool organic aileron if you want, which is going to be just awesome. I'm telling you, you got to try that TPU, AMS TPU from Bambu Lab. So yeah, that was kind of an accidental discovery because when I was using it to actually print, yeah, it does look like a molded part. Favorites, brand recommendations. You know, I used this entire mask was printed, excuse me, with PETG. from Creality on the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon. This is the magnetic mask. Comes apart, you can pop it on. Yeah, you know how this one works. You've seen it, I'm sure. You can see through it just fine. But all this was done with PETG. And if you're using even a high-end printer, fairly high-end printer, like the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon, you can use any filament you want. You can set there's a lot of presets in there for generic PLA, and there's also even some brands in there that are actually are pre-programmed in with presets. It's just a matter of programming the presets. It's just a much more accurate printer is all. So, and you don't have to do any bed leveling. Talk about like just taking a deep breath and going, finally, you know. And it has an enclosure, which makes it a great printer for higher temperature materials. And realistically, what I found out when I was putting together these blades is annealment. When you're doing annealing, if the chamber gets up to a specific temperature, allow it to cool before you pull it off the plate. That will anneal it to the point where the structure relaxes again after it's been printed and you have a more rigid construction that won't have any weak points in it. So Creality, like I said, Creality PETG is good. Overture is really good, especially with their PLAs. I really like Overture. Other than that, most of my experience is, and I'll tell you right now, I have these 170 millimeter fans that I did in Creality PETG, or in Creality PLA, no, PETG. Hold on, let me grab the part. So, these are the smaller versions of the fans. This one's a rear drive. This was done with Creality PETG. Okay, that's the smaller baby motor I'm using for another slightly bigger project. Okay, this one is done out of some Creality PETG for the motor mount system, but the blade is a Bambu Lab clear PETG. It prints extremely smooth. I've had this fan up to about 15,000 RPMs and haven't had any issues with it. This is a beautiful fan. This is a front drive system run off of a 4-to-1 gear ratio, and it takes a 70/70 or a 63/74 motor to drive it. My only failure points were in the gearbox, and that was because the teeth are too small. So what happens is the heat builds up, the sun gear takes the brunt of the damage and tears up the system. So getting those gears CNC'd out of aluminum would probably be optimal. As a matter of fact, if I'm going to stick with a front drive system on this one, then getting the entire thing, the entire casing here printed out of aluminum, or not printed, but I had that experience before. I'm not doing it again. CNC'd out of aluminum so that you have your perfect dimensions that you're looking for, and that will give you your ability to dissipate heat as it pulls air in through the box. And I use a Interflon HT1200 paste for heat dissipation and making sure that the gears stay lubricated. So in a CNC'd version of this gearbox, the rest can still stay 3D printed. You just have to find someone like a printing service who would do it. Now, I used a printing service to try and do my planetary gear system here, but the problem was they had an offset of plus or minus 3 or 0.3. So that's, the tolerances were so high, or tolerances were so out of whack that when I got the actual 3D printed metal piece back, I couldn't get the clamshell together at all. and like I could with the 3D print. So having that CNC by someone who can do small gears and would be optimal for me. And then I could push this fan with that motor much faster. I could get to about half RPMs before I stripped out the sun gear, the planetary gears, or the ring gear. So that's how that works. And then this part that holds the motor, this part here isn't the intersection for the engine. It was going to be, but I changed it to a metal collet, and just like I did for this one here, the bigger van. The irony is it runs on the same motor. So you get 4-to-1 gear ratio here. So it's stepped up 4-to-1, which gives you around 30,000 RPMs. And then on the direct drive for the 340 millimeter, you get around 6,000 RPMs, but you're not going to go past that because that's going to be all you're going to need for something with that fans with 22 blades, 22 blade high pitch, high pass fan. So yeah, basically that's where we're going with this project, and there's a reason, there's a method behind all the madness. And there's that little son of a bitch. Come here. Come here. Where you at? Where you at? Buzzing around, acting like he wanted to play. Alright, let me go put these back real quick. So ultimately, what we're looking at is I've been going through a lot of different materials to try and figure stuff out. I wanted to use PEEK because I was told that that was a really high temperature, very strong material, kind of like a printed nylon in a sense. I used nylon 6 before. I still stripped the sun gear out. So I don't know how much stronger PEEK is. If it's comparable to aluminum, then it might be the answer that I'm looking for. But you know, controlling the heat's going to be a big thing, and that's where the aluminum comes in, because I know that I can put the oil in that gearbox or the grease in that gearbox, and when it's pulling air past those large heat sinks that attach it to the motor casing, then what's going to happen is it's going to cool down everything and keep the gearbox nice and happy. Same thing will happen if you're doing it from the rear drive system, because I have one that's front drive, one that's rear drive. This is going to be a rear, the 340 millimeter is going to be a rear drive system, but it's also going to have a bearing support in the front and then a nose out in the front, because I'm putting some reflective tape on there and using all my Arduino stuff. I'm going to dig out the Arduino stuff, and I'm using a this module for to create an RPM sensor, and then I do need to get a load sensor because a fish scale doesn't seem to be very accurate, just so I can kind of test everything here. But eventually this entire table is going to be to the point where it's one whole test rig, and then the main engine is going to be in the middle. I'm going to try and put some kind of shield around here, because most of the kinetic damage that can happen is from a blade coming out of the side. So I'll probably put some aluminum extrusions or something around here and some thick plexi. I'm going to be running the system from in the house and not in the shop. And then what will happen is there'll be a camera. One phone will be from the front. I'll have one phone on the scale and the sensor data and the amps, because I have an amp meter and everything else we need, so that we can measure how many amps that are being drawn. This is an experimental system, but I've had experience with it because of the smaller motors that I built that required more torque because of the gear ratio. So what I ended up doing is basically turning it into a direct drive system, so I can forget about the gears, which, hey, I'm not against printing a bigger fan. You But put it on a go-kart if you want. Put it on a drone. Put it on an airplane. Whatever you want to do. Make it big scale. Make it man scale. And that's the whole point. But the same motor that drives that 4-to-1 will drive that. So basically, the same motor that drives the 170 will drive the 340. And I'm not sure, what the target velocity is on the. Well, no, I take that back. I know what the maximum RPMs are. What I'm looking for is the thrust output. That's what I want to find out about. And I want to, as long as it's under its amps, that we're totally fine. These are the motors that are being used are for off-road skateboarding, so they have plenty of torque. This is a 75 watt, 60 horsepower motor, and I'm only pushing 48 volts through it for the purpose of mitigating heat and keeping the amps low. So I could raise that up, but I don't have an ESC that's above 150. I'm not going to use a standard house power supply or some kind of lab power supply source, because I need to test these things as they're going to go into any kind of aircraft. So I need to test them with the proper ESC. I need to test them with the proper motor, so on and so forth. So that's really the goal behind all that. I haven't really messed with ABS, at least not with the X1 Carbon yet. I think that was because I had other printers like the Ender 3 or something like that either couldn't or wouldn't print ABS properly. I haven't really studied up on its tensile strength, so I don't know if it's going to do any better than Nylon 6. I have no idea. So I'll have to research that one. I've always felt like ABS was kind of like that. Stay away, that kind of thing. And now there's another one to throw in there, and that's the Bambu Lab ASA Aero, the lightweight Aero. You can't print that stuff with any setting at all, okay? Mainly because it tends to ooze no matter what you do. It messes up everything. But other than that, yeah, we're gonna be working on a lot of different projects and chatting. If you're just bored, we can talk. Doesn't have to be just about 3D printing. As I started the stream, I wasn't even talking about 3D printing. But yeah, we can chat about anything you guys want. Think of the irony in your question, Charlie. Not a fan of ABS. No, my friend, it is PETG. Sort of a joke and a question at the same time. Or an observation and a question. I don't know. I'm just bored. I'm bored because I'm waiting for parts. I never knew I'd get to a day where next day delivery wasn't fast enough. Because when I was younger, we ordered stuff, you waited 2-3 weeks for it to get there. And for whatever reason, you were like ecstatic that it was only going to take 2 to 4 weeks for delivery. And then, kind of got into the Amazon thing and were shocked when we ordered stuff. And it was there like a day, 2 days later. And then things started to speed up to where if you order something in the morning, you could have it by that evening and never leave your house. And I was like, wow. That's insane. No cure for cancer, but they can do that. No. That's actually, it's not a druid mask. It's just kind of a skull mask. So, I don't know if I can get it off of there. Oh, yep, I can. Okay. This is actually made out of a matte FDE PLA from Bambu Lab. It's their matte FDE color. I did the Shrike drone that I made, the Shrike drone playlist on my channel, out of this when I was studying how EDFs worked with flight controllers. So I made an EDF drone, made a couple of them actually, and now I'm making a big one. But yeah, this was done with a straight FDE color that I had originally chosen for an A10 Warthog. But I'll have to get some more because what did I do? I stopped those projects because I got to the point where I was wanting to build my own motor first. And then after perfecting my motor, so I don't have to spend the thousands of dollars on the high-end motors. All I have to worry about is making sure I've got a decent ESC. Then I can go back to building the aircraft, which is what the MPCNC is for. I've got a jet up there that's running on 90 millimeter. And now it's just an experimental plane. That one's designed to land on water, be able to take off, be able to tread water, and still take off from the water. On its belly, not on pontoons. It actually uses its EDF to tread. And then that was one of those experiments. Just some crazy stuff, experimental fun stuff. So no, it's not that. I don't remember what it was called. I'd have to pull the file back up. I printed it a while ago. It was before Halloween last year. So, but no, it's not. It's not from Game of Thrones or anything. I don't believe. Are you talking about the? I'm trying to figure out which one you're talking about. The Night King. I have to look that one up. You're talking about from the White Walkers, I think. Is that what you're talking about? The King of the White Walkers. That took a dragon. I hated the way they ended that show. I think everybody did because they knew it could have gone on a lot longer. They just wanted to end it. But yeah, that's. I'll find out what the file name of that is. So, any other questions about anything that's going on? There is a lot of stuff you can look at on my channel. I do a lot of different stuff. I love to create things, so it's just a matter of what's in my head at the moment and what I have to finish. I think that's an ADHD thing. It's like you find something and you're like, okay, this is going to be my life now forever. And then something else comes along. But right now I've been on this for over a year, and it's daily. I'm doing something. I'm either printing, designing, or doing a short, or doing a video, or trying to fly something outside. Which the drone, the Dill drone playlist, check that one out. Yesterday I flew it, and I thought I had a low voltage signal warning set up, but I didn't apparently. And then I knew something was going on, and I was like trying to get it back over to me as quick as I could. and it just ate the asphalt and just blew apart on the bottom. But all the electronics are fine, so just reprint, reprint the bottom. Top half's okay. So that's what I love about it, is I can design something, print it. If I wreck it out, I can just print it again. It takes just a couple hours tops, depending on what it is, because of the Bambu Lab the X1 Carbon is really fast. So even with PETG, yes, he is. Christ is Lord. Thank you for reminding us all. I think a lot of this world needs to be reminded of that. Deadpool? Oh, green and gold, that'd be cool. That would look cool. I'm gonna assume the outside here is green and you got the eyes gold, or do I have that backwards? I'm trying to visualize it right now. I'm thinking you went green on the outside, gold here. What'd you do for the eyes? Oh, Packer colors. Gotcha. All right. White for the eyes. Well, that works. That's got to look pretty sweet. You wear it to the games? Like, you put it on, wear it to the games? Yeah. See, that's called representing right there. Yes. Yeah, I do everything, and everything I've done is 3D printing on my channel. The whole idea behind any of my creations, including this 340 millimeter EDF that I'm working on, is everything's based on the printer. I'd love to have a CNC, but I don't have the cash for it. When my brother's the one who helped me out in getting the X1 Carbon by getting a personal loan. I'm on vet benefits, so no one wants to give me any real credit. You know what I mean? We get paid so little. And I love it when, like, all the prices go up way high, and then all of a sudden they're like, we raised your benefits by $4. I'm like, thanks a lot. And, I didn't join the military because I knew I was going to get benefits after, but everyone made me get them. It took me 15 years to even try to get them. But I didn't know. I didn't have to pay to register my car anymore. I didn't know that I could get veteran plates. I didn't know that I could, do a lot of stuff. There's a lot, because we never joined. I joined after 9/11. And, I knew I was going to war. And, nobody ever thought, hey, think of the benefits we're going to get after this. No, we were all just like wanting to serve our country. I'm starting to realize now why they have VA benefits. And then at the other end of that, I'm wondering why we have VA benefits. Just because, if you plan on living, VA benefits isn't the way to go. And that's why I'm like growing my own food and like getting chickens, stuff like that. Farming tilapia. That's a fun thing to do. Because I got a family, and I got to take care of them, and I can't really work that much. Nobody wants to hire me because of if my knee goes out, if my back goes out because of the injuries I sustained, then I can't go to work. Like I have a herniated disc, so every once in a while that decides to pop out, make an appearance, and when that disc bulges out from the tear, I'm like walking sideways. Can't even stand up straight. It's hard to get up and move. I'd rather just lay down straight on my back because you're down for like a week until that thing pops back in. Dawson, I'm back. You always do this. Welcome back, Dawson. Dawson will pop in and see what's going on. He'll be like, I'll be right back. And then he'll come back again. He's like, or I gotta go. And then he'll be back in 5 minutes. So when Dawson pops up, it's like, Dawson's back, man. Cool. What kind of stuff were you thinking about ordering? I haven't put up a site yet. Mainly because the only thing I was doing was merch. Stubby Fan. That's what the Stubby Fan is. Another playlist you can check out. Those got some great stuff. Check out all the playlists. You'll love them. One of the projects I did do, which was the Shrike concept drone, you can get the STLs from my Patreon. And there's a components list there. There's only one variable. Advanced Power Drives stopped selling the 500X to hobbyists. They stopped selling all their stuff to hobbyists and went full commercial. So now I have to be LLC'd in order to order any of their stuff. So the alternative to that is going to be a Taro, hexacopter power distribution board, because it can handle the amps. You want something that's got a 500 amp overhead if you're doing a 70 millimeter EDF drone. So I liked the 500X because it had telemetry it could send to the SpeeDB 405 wing that I was using to control the Shrike. But when they stopped selling it, I was like, oh my gosh, really? It's like I'm just getting into this and now you're gonna stop selling me the product? Oh, we don't sell it to commercial. I'm like, so you're gonna cut out an entire revenue stream for the purposes of going straight commercial? Why not do both? Make even more money. Do I global ship? I can. It's just gonna really matter about. I guess the regulations or laws on sending turbine engines or masks or anything like that. I guess it really doesn't matter because the engines that I'm ordering are coming from China. So, and the rest of it's just plastic. So, for the most part, PETG. If you're referring to the fans or if you're referring to the mask. So I don't see why I couldn't ship globally. I had said that if I wanted to raffle this one off because it's a little too small for me, I just printed it. I didn't even try to measure it for my head. But I got a big head, so it'll fit most other people. I was going to do a raffle on this. I'm going to put up a post when I do that raffle. We'll do the raffle live. And anybody who's interested in this mask, just put I'm in on the post. And then I'll put your names in a hat and we'll do a live drawing. And it doesn't matter where you're out in the world, I will get it shipped off to you. Also, some variations of Deadpool mixed with Pikachu. That'd look wild. Oh, that would definitely look wild. So you need Lego except you want me to print Legos? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I can. You know, you just got to give me an idea of what you're looking at. And I appreciate it. Gabe, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Share it with your friends because for some reason I get shadow banned a lot. I'm guessing. So, yeah. What I'll do is if you have an idea of what you're looking for on the Lego side, I'll figure out what filament I gotta get, you know, and we'll go from there. I think carbon fiber PETG Legos would be awesome because there's no layer lines on that you can even make out with that particular filament. Or PLACF carbon fiber. That's also something that comes out with no layer lines and looks beautiful, no matter what color you print it in, and would make for some awesome freaking Legos, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, we know you're in. Wait till I make the post, Dawson, and then you can go ahead and say I'm in, and I'll send it to you if you win. But yeah, think about it. I want more of them. Some that I had to have hair if possible. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Like, I got you. You're talking about like making the heads with the different interchangeable hair pieces and stuff like that. Oh, life-size Lego flowers. Okay, I got you. You're talking about life-size Lego pieces, like hair pieces you want to put on. I see where you're going. I see where you're going now. I think I'm starting to catch up. I'll check out your channel. See what you're talking about. When I get a chance here. But yeah, that's I see where you're going. Give me 1 second. Can't see how many are on there. I know. Sorry. Sometimes I gotta check and make sure that no one's trying to do anything stupid across the street because I have to take care of the property over there. It's an old abandoned winery. Hello, how are you doing, Lenny? Welcome. Welcome to the live. Looks like we have another person in a Lego. Oh, it's you. Oh, I see what you, okay. I got you. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. That's cool. That's cool. Is this something you do like for Halloween too? Like go out like full Lego? That'd be awesome. That's a good looking helmet. Oh, I got you. Okay. You got the hands too? That's totally cool. Yeah, I remember Legos when I was a child. Long, long ago, me and my T-Rex used to play with them. Zorro, I have no idea what you just said because I don't read Farsi or Arabic or a weird text font that I can't see because these screens are too damn small. I still don't know what you said. Thank you. I was in the Army. As much as I would love to answer you, Zorro, I'm not going to be able to translate any of that quick enough. 11 Bravo, infantry. Yep. And then they changed my MOS at the end of basic because they wanted me for something else. You probably know what I'm talking about. No tattoos, no original teeth, stuff like that. So they changed my MOS. So I had to do other things. But I did my comms training over at Fort Gordon and back to Fort Benning. And then from there, who knows, right? I was with the 149 Armored for a while. That was a fun ride. But they closed that down. Oh yeah. Delta 347, Sand Hill. I remember it. I remember it well. Delta 119. All right. Yeah, we were Wolverines. Third platoon. I miss those guys. It's amazing how many you go in and the differences that people have are literally gone because it doesn't matter what race, it doesn't matter what color, it doesn't matter any of that stuff. All that stuff that they carried back from where they came from or wherever was just gone. Because one, we were still trying to get over the shock of having to do what it was we had to do to train. And we were all having to rely on each other. And then we started to realize at that point that everything that we had to face, whether it be any kind of discrimination in the civilian sector beforehand, that was all gone. All the stereotypes were gone. Nothing mattered. You were green and there was a flat-brimmed hat in your face 24/7. So you didn't have time to think about anything else. Oh man, I remember that. I got to clean out the gas chamber. That was fun. So yeah. The obstacle courses were fun. The FTX missions were cool. Except I was the biggest guy there, so they were like, yeah, I'm carrying my full battle rattle, and they've got me, when they would drop food or they would drop water out in one of the ranges, I think we were at Juliet 12 or something like that. But the the whole side of the mountain we were having a trek up was eroded by water had run down. So it was at a really, really steep grade. I'm having to carry all my gear plus 5 gallons of water on top of my rucksack in the big metal containers. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm carrying that. I've got my weapon in this hand. I've got it sitting on my rucksack, and I'm holding it with this hand. And I'm like trying to trek up this hill, and it's like it's so steep and it's all rutted because of that water that had run down the hill. Then they get us to this cliff, and they're like, "Well, you remember doing the spelunking, so here you go. Hope you remembered how to tie your harness, because you had to tie. You had to tie your own harness, and then you had to, rappel, and it was like we did it on a sheer cliff face out there on one of the ranges, and it was." I'm like trying to go down with like all my gear, and I'm like kick out. And I kick out real far and come back, and I'm like, you find out real quick. You're not Spider-Man. You don't kick out too far, because you're gonna come flying back into that mountain face real quick. Yeah, that's exactly right. Man, I remember that too, because you were lucky to get to bed at midnight. And if you were lucky, you didn't have Firewatch that night, so you didn't have to get your sleep interrupted for the 3 hours you got before you got up at 3 a.m. to get ready for PT. Like, we're going to go run. It's 3 a.m. It's like, I was so glad sometimes I didn't have Firewatch. But I hated it, like, when they gave me Firewatch either right at the end, right before we were supposed to wake up, or right in the middle. Okay, I would have rather had Firewatch at the beginning or at the end. Instead, I got Firewatch most of the time right in the middle of when I'd be sleeping the best. No. Oh, man. Those are the days. And I know you remember that first week. And you remember how showers were. It was like 30 seconds, 40 seconds tops. Watch everything you can, get out of the damn shower as fast as you can. And you know that you've got people from every culture, from almost every part of the United States, all in the same barracks, sweating out all their toxins for the first week. And it was that barracks, man, had a smell to it after some major PT and some training that day, and we were going in for shower. And you're like, until you got all those toxins out of your system, man, you were like, I don't know if I can handle the smell. I'd rather go back in the gas chamber. I would, but I'm doing this live right now, so I can do both. But Dawson, keep that in mind, okay? I totally forget what my screen. I think my gamer tag is War Machine D347 after my unit. So it was War Machine D347. So if you find me there on Fortnite, add me. I think that's my player tag. I know it is on Call of Duty. And I think in Steam, I can't remember. I think it's Urban Battlefront. But yeah, anyway. I'll find you on there, or you find me, and then just add me, and we'll set it up. Maybe I'll play it later tonight. Wasn't really into Fortnite a lot, but sometimes it's comical and fun to play. I get ticked off at the scopes and stuff like that. I'm more of an iron sight guy. I mean, Lenny, you know what I'm talking about. We weren't using scopes on the range. And you like, if you couldn't take down a target on irons at 300 meters, then, I qualified sharpshooter. I was like 3 short of expert, and that was because I had to clear a jam out of my weapon. And I'm left-handed shooter, which doesn't help. I'm right, left eye dominant, but I'm right-handed, so I do pistols, everything right-handed, rifles left-handed. And the first time I shouldered a weapon at the range, drill sergeant's like, "Why are you holding that rifle like that?" I'm like, "I'm left-handed." "You're right-handed." "No, but I'm left eye dominant. But you've got 20/20 vision, or you wouldn't be here." Because I didn't have corrective lenses, but I still had good vision, I guess. And I was shouldering the rifle. The only problem with that is you oil the hell out of your eyeballs when you're left-handed and you're using a right-hand ejection port. Not only is this shell flying right past you, but if you're lucky enough not to get hit in the face with it, you're getting the blowback from the oil and the gas system right in your eyes. And I remember we were doing Nick at Night, and they were like, just dump those mags into those targets, get those tracers out there, because that was the whole point, And I guess, a lot of the family would come by, the cadre and stuff like that, and they'd watch because they wanted to watch Nick at Night. And I remember just dumping mags into the targets and all the tracers, and I was firing so fast that I had so much oil in my eyes, and I'm still trying to maintain the target that my eyes are watering. I can't see a damn thing. I'm still hitting my targets, but it was just, it's like, give me a left-handed ejection port, for the love of God. It was something. I mean, I can fire right-handed, but the problem is, because I'm left eye dominant, I aim with my left eye. I still have my peripheral, and I can still see if I close my left eye forward out of my right, but it's they don't sync up. So I guess I had to have eye surgery when I was a baby or whatever. But yeah. Yep. That's the perfect time to be left-handed, when everyone's like, ah, and you're like, I don't have to worry about my rounds. It was funny. You'd see what really ticked off the drill sergeants was when somebody would fire something, because you remember on the range you had somebody that was there next to the other person that was in the pit, and they were firing down range, and I was looking for something in his one private was looking for something in his jacket, or dropped a shell or something like that, but he muzzle brushed the guy standing next to him, and the drill sergeants went off because he had a loaded weapon literally pointed at that private's head just for a few seconds. And I knew, I was standing in line, and I knew that guy was getting dragged out of the pit right now. Man, that was a funny thing to see. Because they had your battle buddy right there, and he was kind of, I forget why they staged him there, because he wasn't sighting or anything like that, or trying to range anything. He was just, they wanted to get used to the blast off the weapon, because when you're right behind it, you don't feel it like you do when you're off to the side of the muzzle. It's much more harsh when you're off to the side of the muzzle. So you know what I'm talking about. And you could be sitting there all day firing from behind it, but the moment you're next to it, you're like, thud, 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 thud. It's ringing your bell every time it goes off. Oh, that's cool. I think I got one time on accident when I first started playing it because I was in Call of Duty mode. Hey, if you do, make sure I'm on there. That would be fun. Crossing the line. It's on the rock sacks. It wasn't mud. That's messed up. Oh man. On any of the FTX, any of the field training where we were out just for days. I remember one of the things that we get yelled at a lot for was because we'd have to sling our weapons and then swing them around during chow or anything like that. And if you were sitting on the ground and you didn't have your helmet on the ground with the muzzle in the helmet so that you weren't jamming something into the barrel, you get in a lot of trouble. And there's a reason for that. A lot of us who were in, we know the last thing you want is to have a rock jammed in the end of your barrel because you didn't cover it, or you put it down in the dirt. You come back up and you're like, fire the weapon, and it just the whole barrel just splinters out. Yeah, I remember that a lot. I remember firing once so fast that my flash hider spun off the barrel. So that wasn't my fault though. That was the armor. I'm like, you didn't give me a tool to check the tightness of my muzzle. And then somebody, I think they did this on purpose, but when we were turning in weapons, safety was a big issue. You already knew that, especially back from the range. They'd come back and they'd hit you on the stomach and in the pockets and stuff like that, and push you, make sure you didn't rattle like you had any rounds on you. So when we were turning in our weapons, we had to obviously open the breech to make sure that obviously the firing mechanism on the M16A2 was not engaged with the bolts, so that everybody knew that you were safe. But what happened was interesting because they'd walk into the armory and you'd have to close the weapon. I'm standing out in formation. It wasn't our platoon, so I was so glad. But all of a sudden, from the armory, you just hear boom because a round goes off, and all of a sudden, the drill sergeants were just like, "Open your breeches now! Open them up! Open them up! Open them up! Open them up! Show the bolts! Show the bolts! Show the bolts!" And I was like, "Holy crap! Did somebody actually accidentally leave a round in the chamber?" Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep, you block that barrel, the first thing you're going to be thinking is, why can't I hear anything, and where is my upper receiver? Oh yeah, those were the days. What was cool is that this was old school for us because, like, when I went to Fort Gordon, um, all of a sudden there's a PX, and I'm like, I have more freedom. I can move around without being yelled at for the most part. It was funny when you go from Fort Benning, like you know what I'm talking about, and you go to like your AIT and it's co-ed, and the drill sergeant's female, And she comes out, she's mad. She's got new trainees. She's got to try and smoke them, to make them know what their place is. But like, we get off the bus, like, she's all, front leaning rest position, move. And then we get down there and she's like, what? We get to 10 push-ups and she tells us to recover. And I'm like, does she know we're from Benning? She should have gone for 100. That might have started smoking us at that point. But yeah, it was funny. And then when we got up after 10, we all kind of just stood there in shock. And when they said, Eddie's, we're like looking at each other going, is that it? That was all? Man, Fort Gordon's soft. You live in Cleveland, Texas? Is it nice there in Cleveland? I keep wanting to move out of Cali. I don't like it anymore. Never really did. But I want to go to a place where I can get some snow in the winter, Most we get down here is a random hailstorm. And lately a couple of tornadoes. Which when I was growing up didn't happen. But now, just a few days ago, one town away from me, a tornado touched down. This is Central Valley, California. And it ripped the roof off a couple of houses, tore up a bunch of oak trees, or almond trees out of the orchard. And I think last time we had tornado sirens going off, and we're like, this isn't supposed to be happening here. But yeah. Too many gangs in Cleveland? Is that where they're all congregating? Cleveland, Texas? I was watching I think I was on Instagram last night. I was watching a couple of reels, and I scrolled up, and there was this guy that was all tatted up in the face and stuff, had blonde hair. And I guess somebody made a comment to him about him not being gangsta enough or something like that. I have no idea. And so his girlfriend comes over and reads it to him. And that right there kind of tells you something. And then he answers back, and I couldn't understand a word he was saying. He was like, he's not saying he might. I'm like, what the? Could you put captioning on this so we know what you're saying? I mean, is it cool to slur your words to the point where no one could understand you? Or that someone might be thinking you're having a stroke? I mean, I don't get it. I don't see how that culture is popular. I really don't. It's not intimidating in the least. So if that's what you're going for, that was an epic fail. Because your girl had to come and read the post for you. So, I mean, comprehension, that's another thing we've got to work on in this country, reading comprehension. I'm just saying, if you're gangster, it's because you didn't get a diploma. And it was the only thing you had, But, whatever gets you through tonight, man. I couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. So it's like, how do you respond to that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, we don't know what you're saying. Enunciate. What am I doing today? I'm chatting with you fine people. And just discussing projects and normal everyday life. Things we went through in the military. Just discussing the world. Can't wait for Iran to finally do something stupid. I'm just waiting. Because they parked those B-52s at the most convenient spot. Because they knew Iran was going to do something, is going to do something stupid. So, We wanted them to know we're not fucking around. Oh, I shall show you. Let's see if I can get down here low enough. Well, I gotta watch the camera. A straight white Republican male. How else may I piss you off today? Yeah. I know you would, baby doll. Stacy T. You have a Deadpool mask, but you look like Uncle Wolverine. You know how many times I've been told I look like Wolverine? It's okay. There is an eyepiece I can print for this. That's the Wolverine style eyepiece. Maybe I'll throw that on there. Yeah, I would. I need to do a Wolverine mask. I do. I just didn't have the color for it in the AMS, so I went ahead and did Deadpool. Yep. It's a symbolism of duality. Yes, I'll do Wolverine. A mask. Get your mind out of the gutter. I am going to do the Scream mask. You mentioned that last time when I did a live. I'm going to do that one. I'm going to find it. I'm going to do that. Don't worry. I got another shipment of filament I got to get here first because I'm printing that fan, which took out a lot of filament. A symbol of my sarcastic side. Is that what exactly do you mean? Elaborate on that, my dear. Elaborate. I wonder what the yeet was for. I'm like, is he throwing something? He's like, yeet. The mask. Mask clothing. Yes. That would be cool. Yep. That was a good movie, too. That was a good movie. Man, I certainly hope he isn't woke. Because he'll go broke. Kind of like Disney. Chair's killing me. Yeah, Jim Carrey. What are you asking? What happened? What happened with Thanos? Oh, I see what you're asking. Okay, that would be quite interesting. I don't even know how that would turn out. On Twitch? Well, What is the live stream? I don't mind if you put it in the chat so people can check you out if they want to. You know, put your name up there. Let them know. Come on, Dawson. What's that Twitch live stream? You have my heartfelt permission to post it in the chat. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Loki. Actually, that the mask belonged to. So yeah, that's you know, in the lore of everything, that is feasible that Thanos could technically get the mask. Which they gotta do a movie on that now. I understand completely, Dawson. I understand. I am an engineer, yes. I've been studying for it for a while. Close to finishing my bachelor's degree in engineering. Industrial engineering, but I'm going to move forward to a master's in aerospace after that. And that's because I want to build lower cost, reliable aircraft. Mainly focusing on the flying car aspect of it, because that seems to be where everyone's going with this. But I don't see how they call some of the things that they do have flying cars. They don't qualify as flying cars if you need a helipad to land it. And can you imagine using one of those right now with like 8 props on it? You know, heading to Target for a Black Friday sale with a bunch of flying cars. It'd be decapitations all over the parking lot. So no, that's why I'm studying. It's propulsion technology, Dawson, and that's why I'm studying the ideas behind EDF and mass airflow that has a controllable, shieldable ducting system, so that it can run, and it also needs to run off of hydrogen. Like you have most cars that do run off of hydrogen. Well, not most cars. You have cars that can run off of hydrogen, and the same systems can be powered by the same hydrogen fuel cell. So it's all a matter of tweaking the size of the EDF, its placement, its gimbaling action, and incorporating it into the footprint of a car so that you can still use the car as a car, but still take off if you need to, and still be able to carry more than you, and that's it. So finding an efficient power system is kind of what I'm working on. Not just the energy density side of it, but the thrust to weight ratio, the controllability. We have driving cars, so it's feasible with all of the drone technology that we have with self-stabilization, that we could create a GPS skyway in a sense, where the flight paths are regulated just like you would on the road. You stay in your lane, that kind of stuff. But that's guided by GPS, still has to be hands-on for emergency purposes, things like that. You know, the vehicle would be outfitted with drogue chutes and things like that in case of emergencies. You'd have off ramps and on ramps on the regular freeway, just like you do in the normal infrastructure we have, but it would be more of an off ramp, and then you take off into a skyway pattern where you have a route to another off ramp that's closer to grandma's house on the other side of the continent or whatever, you know. And since you can do that below 400 feet, you're not in the commercial aircraft airspace. So as long as you're above 200, you have a clear line of sight, and the skyways are projected on your windshield as a transparent overlay, so you're within the skyway and all that other stuff. And there would have to be a lot of technological infrastructure in place, but it would be invisible for the most part, except for the driver. And it would be regulated just like you would on the road. I mean, we have people physically driving cars on the roads and trusting that they're going to stay in their lanes, and they don't have any help from GPS or computer guidance other than how to get somewhere. So as you have a system that's controlled in the air mainly by GPS, but drifting corrections or having to avoid some kind of obstacle or something to that effect, you still want to be able to take manual control. So the idea is to integrate the vehicle's flight systems into its regular operating systems, so that you can actually drive from the ground to the air and not have to worry about huge propellers on the outside, or how am I going to park or something like that. I mean, it shouldn't take up more than a footprint of a standard SUV, type of vehicle, because it's not a flying car if you have to drive a car to the hangar and then pull it out and then spin up the propellers. That's just another type of aircraft in a sense. The idea is to integrate the infrastructure that we have in with the technology that I'm currently trying to work on, and if somebody else doesn't beat me to it. And I've seen a lot of different things out there. Here's a propeller-driven car, but you can only carry 2 people. It only flies for a couple minutes, and it's like it looks like one of those TPU balls that has little holes in it. That's not that. Just because you made it look like a car on the outside doesn't make it a drivable car. It's just, I don't know. It's not practical in the sense. It's all about disruption. What we have now works as far as vehicles go. So integrating something into that does not disrupt the natural flow of what we already have is the only way you're going to integrate anything into the system that's going to further our technology or our means of conveyance over long distances using flight. So you have to consider the infrastructure that exists and go, okay, well, how can we make this work around that infrastructure? And how can we make it safe? Well, if a Tesla can drive itself and stay on the road for the most part, because you've seen people sleeping behind the wheel, I don't recommend it, then I don't see how it isn't feasible not to integrate the same technology into a car that is equipped with EDFs as well as tires, and it doesn't change the shape or body of the car, except for intake ports and exhaust ports for the motors, of course. If you get that done right, and then you set up the technology right for the GPS sort of virtual skyways that are underneath the commercial flight level, then you can implement it. You can have it happen. We could do a test from one end of a state to another, depending on the power density you have in the aircraft. If it's running off of hydrogen fuel cells, then it's going to be however much hydrogen you can carry. And everyone's like, well, hydrogen explodes, it's dangerous, and this and that and the other. Well, so does gas and everything else. But if you use a hydride inside the tanks, then which is basically just a carbon nanostructure that houses the hydrogen, you could drill a hole in that tank and put a cigarette out it, and it would just smolder. But you heat that up from the inside, and you can release that hydrogen from the hydride and use it that way. It make the whole system much safer. Let me catch up on chat. I have a question. If a person knows 3K words vocabulary in English, is it enough for speaking and understanding? By the way, are you welder? Um, I can weld, yes. Um, if someone has a 3,000 word vocabulary, I don't think the words themselves are technically what needs to be understood. I think 90% of communication is context and context, emotion, and inflection. And for the most part, um, the words are just a simple way of conveying thought. Communication goes far beyond words. You should get. I. You know what? I have Charlie. I have the Ender 3. Um, Still, it's sitting back there. It's kind of like my little Smithsonian section. Yes, and this is why I was happy about the X1 Carbon, because I never have to dead level again. And I'm telling you, it's a godsend to have something you do not have to bed level. Okay, I could level out the Ender 3. Back injuries are causing me some pain. I could level out the Ender 3 and then print, because if you look at the Shrike concept drone playlist that I have, the first white EDF drone that I made was actually printed on the Ender 3 that I have behind me. And the ones preceding that was done on the X1 Carbon. Much faster turnout, higher quality, faster print times, and usually the matte PLA came out with almost no layer lines, which is beautiful. Reading your stuff here. If you guys can go help out Dawson, I get that. I've been there. I'm on debt benefits. Ramen's my best friend. But if you can help him out on his Twitch or whatever, go help him out. That's what we're commanded to do, right? If someone's in need. If I had anything to give him, I would. I'm broke as well. I mean, you see, most people, when they say they're broke, and I'll say it again, when they say they're broke, they have a savings account, a certain amount of money, a budget, and they can't go beyond it. That's the way they handle business. This is the kind of broke I am. That's it, man. No joke. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it that way. I meant no cap. Don't want to offend anyone individually. I'd prefer to offend you all as a group. But yeah, that's broke. That's the kind of broke I am. Hey Dawson, I've been there, man. I've been there. I know what you're feeling. Trust me. It was a hard decision to say, do I buy filament or smog my car? You're 10. How are you even on my live? Well, guys, if Dawson's 10 and he's hungry, go over to his Twitch, give him something. I don't know if it's a scam or not or anything like that. I'm not saying that it is, Dawson. Don't take that personal. But to be perfectly honest with you, if the kid's hungry, do what you can to give him something. So if you can, go over there. Dawson, we still don't know what your Twitch is, man. Yeah, but if we can, let's help Dawson out. Let's give him something to eat. I know what that's like, man. I mean, you're looking at me now and going, no, you don't. Just because I'm 6'4" and 290 doesn't mean I'm not hungry. No, I would say that I've been there, but I'm still there. So I can't say that I've been there because that would be past tense. Yeah, if you guys get a chance, help Dawson out. Oh, my back. Oh. I live on coffee. Matter of fact, my wife has to remind me to eat. She's like, you gotta eat. I'm like, didn't I already eat? You know, that was breakfast. That was 7 hours ago. Oh, yeah. So she has to remind me most of the time. But, you know, I get caught up in the work I'm doing, so I just tend to forget. I gotta check my phone's battery. See, I can't afford an actual camera, so let me plug this up so I don't lose it. One moment, please. And now it's gonna go to the... See, that's what I have. Right there. That's all I got. And then all this stuff I've been playing around with. Literally donated table, donated toolbox, donated paint. The lights were bought by a friend of mine when I redid the garage into a shop because he believed in what I was doing and was like, it's got to be clean. It's got to look nice. We even built a 3-axis CNC, completely 3D printed, you know. But he paid for all of it. I just printed it and did the work. And now we're working on the 3rd axis over there. Sorry, the 4th axis, which is the lathe part of it. That's sitting in front of the ender. That old tape right there, found it in my attic. Okay, so we're not doing any grudge stuff today. So, or I'm not gonna play that tape and then you know my phone rings and it's like 7 days. You know, it's like I'm not risking that yet, but I am curious on what's on that tape because there's more stuff up there. It was up there in the corner in the attic. On the other side of the firewall up at the top part here, which had a hole punched through it. And then there was some shoes and something and luggage that's heavy, and I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to play the tape. I don't know if I want to play the tape. If I do play the tape, like I said before, it's going to be live, and it's going to be... and we're all going to bear the curse of having to make a copy and send it to a friend. But other than that, you know... that's pretty much the garage. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people have supported me in my efforts because they believed in what I was doing. They believed that I could make something really good. And a lot of them believed I can be monetized and, you know, start kind of supporting myself in the channel. So they're kind of invested in me in that aspect to where none of this is me. I mean, the work is me, but I didn't buy the lights. I didn't buy the paint. I didn't buy the table. I didn't buy the toolbox. I didn't buy the Ender 3. I didn't buy the X1 Carbon. All this stuff, like my brother supplied the X1 Carbon. He even bought the Ender 3 when I first started off on this journey. And Lord knows how much filament the man's bought. But he just kind of, because I got to pay my bills, and that's what I got left, nothing. So that's why I'm really working hard to get those watch time hours past a certain point, so that they'll start actually considering paying me. And then I can keep going, because I'm just going to put it back into this. That's what it all is for, is to go right back into these projects. Projects that you guys suggest, projects that I have ongoing, things that you guys want to see. If you come up with something. Yeah, it doesn't. It might make me, I don't know. Scream mask I'll do as soon as I get some I want to do that one in a matte white PLA, because that comes out really, really clean. So yeah, we'll definitely do that. You want a Pikachu version of the Scream mask? All right, I got to get the colors for the filament, but I'll do my best. Husky fur. I adopted a couple of huskies from the local shelter because it's free to me, being a veteran. So, and I've always wanted a husky. And I got one husky that was mixed with something else because he's as big as a bear. And I got one husky that is, all she needs is a Roadrunner. And you've got yourself, Acme cartoons. Because she's Coyote. That dog is a coyote. First off, she doesn't have blue eyes. Colt has ice blue eyes. So he's like the prettiest husky I've seen so far. Vivian's a sweetheart, though, and very protective. If anyone gets near the house, she tries her best to tear them apart. And I think that's adorable. Very, very protective. And I knew something was up because she was kind of skittish at first. She was sort of like leery of being around us, around anyone, and then she kind of warmed up to us as the pack. And now, anyone gets near the house, she barks. She doesn't make the husky noises. She kind of does because she's a little bit husky, but they've had her down as a husky at the shelter, and there's some coyote there, a lot of coyote. Yeah, when I get, my email, I'll tell you right now, Lainey, my email is on my channel page with all my other links, including the Buy Me a Coffee link, which is how I typically fund my filament purchases. So, sorry to sound like an announcer there. Just going to that. Go to my Buy Me a Coffee link now and make sure you donate if you can. You're not obligated at all. But yeah, like I was saying, Vivian is a sweetheart. But she's not more husky than she is coyote, because she'll get Colt worked up, and you know how huskies try to bark and end up doing a howl or an in between, so it sounds like somebody's screaming to death at the top of their lungs. And that's what happens. He gets going, he's like, "Arr!" It's just too funny. But it'll be a loud scream. Like he'll do a loud scream. But yeah, you guys can, if you want to, check out the rest of the stuff on my channel. You'll see what I'm doing. If you're new here, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Helps me grow. Helps me. I'm trying to get to the watch hour boundary, but good Lord, they're making it harder. And then they just came out and made it even harder by adjusting how they count the shorts views. Where I'll get a whole bunch of shorts views and then they'll dwindle down over time. So it's kind of messed up, but I get where they're coming from. Can't really pay ad revenue to somebody if somebody's just seeing the video and not watching it, and they scroll on by or whatever. But hey, I understand. But this makes it to where I have to work that much harder, which is fine. That's the end goal. To bring you guys some fun stuff. Some STLs, and the reason why I haven't put up a lot of STLs on the big turbines is because I need to build a reliable system on my end that's repeatably reliable so that you guys have something to work with that's safe. Now, I am going to say this now, if you do any of the stuff that I'm doing on this channel, you do so at your own risk, because turbine engines spin at remarkable speeds. And if something comes apart on there, you need to have safety precautions set in place. Don't attempt this stuff unless you have some safety precautions in place. Fire extinguisher for a LiPo if you pop it. Don't use water. Shielding around any of your spinning objects that might come apart. I just want you guys to be safe doing it. I don't want anybody getting hurt seeing this and going, I can do that, and maybe you can do that, but just take the precautions. Be safe. I want the hobby to be a fun one, not a trip to the ER. So please be safe in whatever you do and take the necessary precautions. Wear the eye protection. Wear the ear protection if it's loud. Make sure you're behind something shielded if you're spinning something up that's high RPM. Be aware of your collateral damage around the test site, so that you're not only not hurting somebody else, but you're not destroying some of your other equipment you got around. You know what I mean? So please take those precautions. Oh, hold on. Why are we banning Lenny Lego? What's going on? Why do you want to ban Lenny Lego? Like, really? What questions you asked that offended him? I'm bored. I want to be somewhat offended. Oh, was it the tobacco question? Why would you ban him for that? It's whatever he's referring to. If it's cannabis, it's legal here. So why would you be offended by somebody asking that? Coco, come on now. You can't just run in here and say ban somebody and then not give your opinion as to why you think they should be. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. Oh, the CAD software I'm using. Charlie, sorry about that. I missed that question. I use Fusion 360 mainly. Exclusively, really. I just like the way it's laid out. I like the design. I like how I can, like if I lose a file, which wouldn't normally lose because it's in the cloud basically. Um, I have cloud storage for all my files, so I don't have to end up going, oh, okay, I want to do this again, but I don't know where that file is. So now I got to pull the STL in, convert it from a mesh to a BRB, and then I'm not going to be able to get any kind of camming data out of it if I decide to send it out to somebody else because their software can't read the toolpath or the curves. So yeah, sometimes it's irritating when that happens. So that's why I would love to get a Pocket CNC machine because I've seen a lot about them. It's a desktop kind of CNC solution. It's got the option for the interchangeable collets, so you can just basically swap the tools out, and everything's already pre-measured and set when you put it in there. And it does the touch probing to know where the stock is, and so on and so forth. And then I want to do this fan again, but I'd love to do it out of some aircraft grade aluminum. And I think the Pocket NC would be really cool because it's under 12 grand. And you don't have to spend $35,000-$40,000 on a big CNC machine. Yeah, that's what the 170 millimeter was doing. It was 30,000 RPM. 36,000 was my peak RPMs. Yeah. I actually have the educational license because I'm finishing up my engineering course. So it gives me access to most of the stuff. Not a lot of I don't have access to, well, I might now, but the CFD software plugin that they have for that is what I was really interested in getting a hold of. There's a lot of aftermarket CFD plugins, but I wanted to use Fusion's version of it, Autodesk's version of the CFD, and I think I can use it now, even though I'm on the educational license side. But ultimately, I think I may have to run a separate CFD software. Fly? Get away from me. Uh-oh, my fly swatter's stuck under my battery pack. No. I will kill you. Come here, fly. Meet your demise. Yes, I do. Are you answering a question? My dear. I haven't used Acacia. I know SolidWorks, but I haven't used Acacia yet. Fusion, pretty much it has been suitable for a lot of the stuff that I do, and with the plugins that they have available that you can run, and it's cool because you open up the plugin and then it pulls it up as another tab, which is great because you can just go from solid through mesh or T-spline to CFD. You get your components ready, set them up, set the fixed points, set the hard points, run the study, so on and so forth. But I haven't had a chance to use their CFD yet, so I can test. Okay, so I can test the airflow volume. Now on my 170 millimeter, we had a 0.665 kilograms per second airflow, and on the 340, I want to test that one and see how it goes. I was getting close to 50 pounds of thrust out of that 170. I'm curious on what the 340 is going to do. So sounds pretty good, Dawson. Might have to do that myself. Stacy, what'd you say yes I do for? I do need a load cell because to be honest with you, I've been using a fish scale. But because I wasn't certain at the time what my total thrust was going to be, I didn't want to go with a 200 gram, load sensor. I'm going to need a 200 kilogram load sensor, if at least. I may max that out. So I'm thinking a load sensor. We'll start off with a 200 kilogram. It'll probably max out, especially on the 340. And then I need to get something, maybe like a 500 kilogram load sensor or even higher. And fly, I swear, you're lucky I have the fly spotter out here, not the 9 milli. Yeah. Load sensors have been something I've been looking into, but I'm not sure what the best one is to get. Because you go online, you look, they're all coming from China, obviously, but you don't know realistically who the freaking beard hair mustache. You don't know what brand is the best as far as quality when it comes to load cells, especially when you're trying to get one off of Amazon or something like that. So that's still some research I need to do. And I want something comprehensive. I don't want to have to build an entire Arduino setup just to run it. I'm already building an Arduino setup to do RPMs. That's bad enough. I don't mind building electronics or setting up PCBs on a breadboard. But if I'm not going to make them, if I'm not going to make the PCB or order them and have them sent out and have them made, then I hate putting my time into it because then I got to take it apart again. So I'm going to set what I have up since I haven't been using my Arduino sensors lately. I'm just going to use it to do RPMs. Probably do one sensor for heat on the motor, so I can get a heat reading on the motor and an RPM, and then a load sensor independently from some other setup. maybe I can wire it into the Arduino. I don't know, but I don't want to have to build a whole circuit that I'm not going to use, unless of course I build a multi-stage circuit where you're doing RPMs, you're doing load off the sensor, you're doing heat from the motor, you're doing airflow. Then I'll build a PCB off of that and then ship it out and have it printed and then have them put on the components, because I'm not going to try and solder all that stuff. I can solder, but I'm not going to do all that. I'm not flowing SMDs here. I mean, I've got the equipment to do it with, but it's just not something I want to do because I'm focusing on other stuff. But I may put together an Arduino sensor kit for this system so that you can slap it on the turbine when you're testing. It's not something I would build to resell unless someone was interested in doing something like that, but there might be stuff already out there for it. So I don't know. I just have to do the research, to be honest with you. But some of them might be expensive if they're already out there, which is why I have the Arduino stuff sitting here. Not to mention I had it because I was using the Nanos to make the Arduino Nanos. I was making Uber and Lyft signs for my brother because he does Uber and Lyft, and I made him some custom signs and stuff that lights up. And a lot of people like it. A lot of his passengers like him, and then a lot of the other drivers like him and want me to make them. But I haven't really gone into production on those, so I gotta find out where legally I stand on that when it comes to making somebody else's logo and then selling it. So I'm trying to be, do business correctly. Don't step on any toes. It's not one of those situations where it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. It's one of those things in business where if you don't ask permission first, there is no forgiveness. There's a lawsuit. So I got to be careful how I do it. But 'tis 3 p.m. Is it 3 p.m.? It's not 3, is it? It is 3. Okay. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun talking to the back of your phone. And all you fine people, I hope you have enjoyed the content so far. And in the future, you're going to see some videos where we're going to be testing the large fan. It won't be too long from now because I have some of the parts coming in. But I do have to make sure that this table is set up to where I'm not going to injure anybody or myself. And I usually run it from inside the house anyway. And I have a camera that I have out here that's attached to my computer so I can monitor everything I'm doing. And then I run everything off of either the FlySky transmitter because it's analog, which I like, and the TX16S. I could use that as well if I was going to run the ELRS, but there's no sense in programming an ELRS controller for something that you're doing static testing on. So the FlySky and a standard transmitter, right? Standard ES or standard receiver. And the ESC is a 48 volt, 150 amp, 2 to 12. Yeah, no, 5 to 12S. I don't know why it says 5 to 12S. Is it 2 to 12S? Well, it doesn't matter. The point is, it's 48 volts, 150 amps, and it runs those skateboard motors pretty well. I don't have the ESC or the control unit that goes with the off-road skateboard motors, which would be probably ideal, except for the fact that those aren't designed for what I'm using them for. So the motor and its 3-phase wire is pretty much all I use, and then the sensor wire I don't use. But then again, I might integrate that into Arduino to get some data off the motor. Who knows? All I know is I found out that 11.5 on the timing is really good for these size motors I'm using. So other than that, it's already 3, and I'm gonna have to get going soon, but do me a favor and make sure you go check out the rest of the channel. It is a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing this stuff. Definitely want to check out that flight, right? That was a fun day. And make sure you stop by the link on my page. Help out a friend of mine who sent me some really good coffee and a cup. Bitter coffee for bitter people. Go to breakfastinbread.store. The link is in my channel page bio or where all the links are. Get yourself some good coffee because that's good coffee. Don't forget to pick up some merch too while you're there. Help the guy out. He's a good guy. He's supporting me. I mean, he sent me coffee. He wouldn't have to send me money at all. Send me coffee. Dude, that's support right there. And then we'll get things going. We got a couple big fans here to go. They'll run off the same motor that one is. Again, like I said, but through this gear ratio system that I have set up, 4 to 1. And I got to finish you. That was the original Stubby Fan V1 that blew up like right next to me. One of the reasons why I told you all to be safe. Other than that, thank you all for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the live. Hope you joined up and you're going to share it with all your friends. So do me a favor. Have a wonderful day. Have a great weekend. And I hope to see you all again very soon.